Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, one I'm very excited to bring you. This is the Massdrop Ferrum Forge Mordax button lock folder, produced by, as you can probably already see if you are a keen-eyed viewer, Protech in the USA. This is the first time that I recall Massdrop working with Protech. I've really been wanting a Protech lately, and very excited to get my hands on one. It's actually kind of funny. I will say this is provided to me by Massdrop. To get out of the way, this was a production sample. They were allowed to send me a final production prototype sample that they sent me. It will be available to order about 49 hours from the time I'm posting this. I'm posting this on January 14th at 8 a.m. or Eastern time. It's when the embargo was lifted. A few guys, you're going to see more videos about this today on other channels. Just spoiler alert, I know a few of us got them. And then at 6 a.m. Pacific time, so 9 a.m. Eastern time on the 16th, you'll be able to go order these. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give you a link to the preview page they sent me, but I will say this is not the only version it comes in. This is the plainest version, the base one, $239. For a couple bucks more, you can get a bunch of other options. You can get one that's completely blacked out with a DLC coated blade. But most of them are stonewash blade. You only get that if you want the whole black. Other colors, they have it in blue, they have it in gray, they have it in green, and everyone comes with a milled out option, which looks pretty darn cool, I have to say. If I was to buy one myself, I probably would have gotten the milled out version. In the milled out version, obviously, you know, it's gravity. It's a little bit lighter. But why this is funny is I've been kind of wanting a Protech myself anyway, and just to try one out. I never had one, and everybody says how great they are. And I was really biting my tongue because I've had this for about a week, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. And just coincidentally, I got one comment in a random video and 2 emails saying I needed to try a Protech. And I was like, I'm just thinking, yeah, I got one, but I wasn't allowed to say it. But this is every bit the same Protech quality and all that stuff, made in the same factory, 100% made in the USA. Again, $239 for the base version. They go up from there. The most you're going to spend on one is $269. That's if you get the black with the DLC and the milled out handle. So pretty reasonable price for what you're getting. Protechs off the bat aren't super cheap, and this is 20 CV steel, which is really nice. It's a lot nicer steel than Protech actually uses. They mostly use either CPM 154 or 154 CM. I can't remember which one it is. You're getting aluminum handles, as you'd expect, ball bearings, and button lock, which I love button locks, and everybody talk about how smooth Protechs are. If all the other Protechs are like this, they are accurate in that. We'll talk about it more later. The look of it and the overall feel of it, if you have a Massdrop Ferrum Forge Crux, it's going to feel pretty similar. It's a bit bigger, but it does feel look a lot like a Crux. Ergonomics feel a lot like a Crux, which is a good thing. Most people really love the Crux, as do I. So yeah, but it's just made in the USA. I think the Crux was so this is a made in the USA button lock, larger version of the Crux, basically, with aluminum handles instead of titanium. But very, very cool knife. We are going to get right into some stats before we get too much farther, and I just keep rambling like a moron. We have lined this up against again, these are 1/2-inch squares. Overall length of 8 1/4 inches. Blade length of 3.6 inches. You have a blade width of just 0.12 inches, pretty thin blade. Handle width of 0.5 inches, right where everybody likes it. And a weight of 3.85 if you're getting this version. If you get the cool milled out one, it's 3.6 ounces. So you lose a 1/4 ounce if you spend the extra money to get the milled out. And again, the milled out looks pretty cool. But on the 16th, you guys will be able to all go see that and choose which one you want. Let's do some size comparisons here, since no one has seen this before, obviously, except for the few of us that got them to review. I'm assuming I'm not going to be the only one publishing a review of this today, because I know a couple other guys got them. We haven't even been allowed to talk to each other about them, but I know a couple guys got them. We have, compared to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, very similar in size to that, but you're getting a lot more cutting edge. But overall, it's pretty similar in size. A little heavier, but not that much. That's why the aluminum handles, I kind of like that choice. Some people are going to say they want titanium for that price, but it does make it a lot lighter. We will compare it against the pair of 3, just since we have it sitting here also. Put it bigger than that. Your Ontario Rat Model 1, which is going to be just a bit bigger. And, oh, since we have it sitting here, another Massdrop knife. This is the Perpetua made by Millet Knives, also USA-made Massdrop knife. A little bit bigger than that. Now, how do I feel about this knife? Let's start out with the most important thing on a knife, the blade. It's a pretty darn good one. It's not super thin behind the edge. I measured it averaging somewhere around 24, 25 thousandths across the board. A little thinner in back here, a little thicker up here. But it is a very high flat grind and it's very thin blade stock. It's a really good slicer. It works very well as a slicer. It's not like a champion, but it's pretty damn good. And what I do like about it a lot, though, is the point on this. The tip is, yeah, you can do some stuff with that. You know, you don't want to ever use a knife as a pry bar or anything like that. But you can stab into boxes to your little heart's content and not worry about snapping the tip off. I really do like that about it. I love the stonewash finish. Yeah, I think it's a great blade. It's one of my favorite things about it. It's an awesome blade. The other thing, my favorite thing about it, we will get to in a moment. Ergonomically, probably my third favorite thing about it. It is very good. Again, if you've held a crux, it's very similar to that. This is just a bit bigger. You can choke up on it. I like that, and it's very comfortable. There is no jimping, but the texture on this handle, you don't really need it. I guess now's a good time to talk about that. It is kind of a pretty heavy bead blast aluminum. And as you can see, again, this was a prototype sent to me. It has been used a bit before it got to me. But you can see it's going to show some wear eventually. I'm not super concerned about it. I think the milled version would show the wear less a little bit. I don't have any like real snail trails or anything like that. It's just around those edges. And again, this is a final production prototype, so maybe the production ones will be slightly different. I don't know. But you can see just around some of the corners here, there's a little bit of wear. Other than that, there's not much to complain about. It is a very tactile sort of feel. It took me a minute to get used to, but once I got used to the feel of it, because it is kind of a, I don't know, I'm a weird texture guy. It's just different, and that took me a minute, but once I got used to it, I did really, really like it. But it's a really comfortable knife to use, really comfortable knife to hold. It's very, very good. As far as the carry goes, it's pretty darn good. Nice deep carry pocket clip. You are still going to have a little bit sticking out from that little swooshy bit at the top. I think that's the technical term for it is swooshy bit. I think that's what they call it. But it carries pretty deep in the pocket. It's under 4 ounces. It's pretty light. Not bad for a 3.6 inch blade. It's pretty good. And the only problem I have with it is the same problem I had with the crux. This is not as bad as I found the crux to be, but still, that flipper tab sticks out quite a bit, and the jimping's all at the top. And yeah, a couple times when I was trying to reach past it, it does kind of rub on your pinky a bit. This seems a bit more well-rounded off than the crux was. It doesn't seem as sharp, but I do still notice it. It's really a minor annoyance, though, where to me on the crux it was a big deal. On this, it's just kind of a minor annoyance. So not going to make a big deal about it. But it's been a pleasure to carry. I've been carrying it almost every day for the last week and off and on. And it's been great. My favorite thing about this, though, is definitely the action. That's what Protech is known for and should be. Not a super strong detent, but it doesn't really need to be. You definitely can't shake it out. I've tried. I couldn't manage to shake it out. If somebody else can, they're stronger than me. But it's got that button lock. And honestly, that's mostly how I use it, because it has one, so why not use it? It's like, you know, Spyderco's all on these compression lock flippers. I think it's more fun just to use that. Or, you know, I don't know if there is a Benchmade axis lock flipper. I don't think there is. But same kind of thing. Given my druthers, I'm going to use that. Just like on my, this is a better example, like on this pair of 3. Yeah. I can Spidey flick it. I do sometimes, but mostly I'm just doing that because it's more fun. I can Spidey flick a whole bunch of knives. I only have a few with compression locks. I think I'd be the same with this. I know I have been since I've been carrying it. I just push the button and whip it out. It's very smooth. Again, running on bearings. Super, super smooth knife. I did take it apart. I did lube it up. That leads to one of my complaints about this knife. I guess my two biggest complaints are, well, we'll get that in the summary. One of my complaints about this are you need a 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench for the pivot, which luckily I'm a bike mechanic, so I have those around, but maybe not everybody will. 2 6s for this, because these are T6 Torx that are free spinning, so you need one to hold each other. And then you've got an 8 back here, and the clip is 6s. So you need 3 different tools to take it apart. Kind of a pain. And I will say, I think this is just because this one is a final production prototype and sat around for a while. I did have to tape off the end of a screwdriver and give it a little pop to get it apart. It did not want to come apart at all, but it finally did. But once it came apart once, it's been completely fine. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain to take apart. Pretty intuitive once you do get it apart. I found button locks to be infinitely less intimidating than you think they would be. It's actually a pretty simple mechanism. Yeah, there is a spring in there. You just got to be careful the spring doesn't go flying, but it's not under a ton of tension or anything like that, so that wasn't a problem. I lubed it up and stuff, but it didn't really need it. It had been used a fair amount before I got it. It was pretty darn well broken in. I do like the sound it makes too. Yeah, it's pretty great. My only complaints are you need 3 different tools to take it apart. That's always something I'm going to whine about, but if you're a person that doesn't take your knives apart, then don't worry about it. Wondering how that finish is going to hold up. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, I've carried this every day for a week, and it has no more marks on it than it did when I got it. And I've not been nice to it, so I think this was just put through a fair amount of testing before it arrived in my hands. And that flipper tab sticks out in the pocket a little bit. Other than that, it's darn near EDC perfection. If you want something that's fun to fiddle with, I guess one other little complaint, if you live in a place that's 3.5 inches, it is a little bit over that. It's every bit of 3.6 inches long. I might have slightly preferred they just made it 3.5, but yeah, I like the looks of it, especially in the milled versions. I love the action. The blade is great, which, let's be honest, that's the most important thing. It carries well, other than that one little caveat. It seems to be very, very well made. I'm not going to show you the Massdrop box and everything because it didn't come with one. It came in a Protech box. I assume it's going to come in the same big Massdrop box. They all come in with the little pouch and all that stuff. $239, not inexpensive. It is a bit higher end for Massdrop, but I get it. It's Protech. I understand that. But yeah, very, very cool knife. And if I was you, I'd be waiting to get one on Tuesday. No, what is it? Wednesday morning, January 16th, 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, go on and jump on there. I don't know how many the first run is. I have no idea. They didn't preview to that information, but go check them out. Pretty darn cool. Protechs are kind of hard to get your hands on sometimes, so this may be one of your easiest ways to get your hands on a Protech. And it's a Ferrum Forge design too, which they're pretty great. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.